Hello.
Hello, whoever just said that then. I don't know who that was, but hello. So tonight we've got an amazing woman, absolutely remarkable woman. I feel so lucky that I got to spend some time getting to know this beautiful lady on the cruise, and that is the one and only area manager area manager. You are an area manager, yeah, Nicky Marchant. So, Nicky, if you want to share a bit about your story and how you got there and any tips that you picked up along the way, that would be absolutely fantastic. So I'll leave it with you.
Good evening, everybody. I don't know who I know everybody, but I basically, obviously you say a bit of all at the beginning, but is it basically you want me to do my why? Is that right, Danny?
Yes, please.
Yeah, and obviously what happened along the way. So, I'm Nicky Marchant. I'm an independent consultant with Arbonne and area manager now for very nearly 2 years in November. So I started in November 2012, and my background is I did, don't know how far to go back basically. I mean, both my parents, my mum is a school teacher who has gone on to get very into her career. She is now PhD and she has retired now, but she lectures on the PGC course, which is a postgraduate certificate of education. She's written lots and lots of books about language and literacy. She's really into her career, really into her career, and is a formidable woman. My parents are divorced, and my mum left my dad when we were in our 20s, my sister and I. My dad is ex-fighter pilot in the RAF, and his motto is, "This is not a rehearsal." He's lived on the upside many things. He has flown his fighter jet under bridges in Germany. He's been across the Iron Curtain. We lived in America for a few years when I was growing up, from 2.5 to 4.5. I've always loved traveling, always loved America. And we had very strong Texan accents, my sister and I. So, you know, we were both born in Germany as well. I have a sister that's very close in age to me. She's only 17 months younger than me. So my mum and dad have just worked really hard for what they have. They're both remarried and been remarried now for 25 years each. So, you know, they're great successes, my parents. I haven't had a hugely, you know, kind of hard life growing up. My parents worked really hard. And, you know, we lived in Henley, which is a very nice part of England. But I guess what really my parents have taught me is that, you know, you just have, you need to put your back into it to get somewhere. And it's about personality as well, and being leaders, and taking opportunities, really. So my parents are both great. They really are. I've learned a lot from both of them. And I think it's really interesting when you end up in a career like Arbonne and you look at your kind of how you got here. And I am a real product of both of my parents. I really am, because I think when you become, you know, become a consultant with Arbonne, you instantly become a teacher, and you instantly become a risk taker. So that is what I am, you know, and both sides of me kind of come together. And the thing that I love about Arbonne, I think really is that it is about, you know, being at the cutting edge of everything and the leading trends. So I went and did a psychology degree. I did biology, chemistry and French at A-level, and then went and did psychology degree at Plymouth Uni, as it is now, was Plymouth Poly. Had a fantastic time down there. Surfing and sailing and windsurfing and all that kind of jazz, and did a psychology degree, which I loved. And then I basically needed to earn some money, and I went to London and I got a job in market research, which is when you're finding out about what people feel about brands and advertising and stuff like that. So I started doing that back in 1987, and working for a very small company. And then I went to a medium-sized company, and then I went to a large company. And I got to the top of that tree, and I was director of one of the biggest research agencies, as it was then in London, working on what they call qualitative research, which is really understanding why people do what they do. Why do they buy different brands of washing powder? You know, why do they buy a Coke over a Pepsi? You know, Bacardi. I used to do tons of work for Bacardi, accompanying people on drinking expeditions around Leeds and Doncaster and God knows where else. Really fun, around Manchester, everywhere. So I've done a lot of traveling around the UK and a lot of asking people about all kinds of different things. So I know a lot about yogurt, a lot about orange juice, a lot about funerals, herbs and spices. And then in 1990, 99, 97 I got married, 98 I fell pregnant, and then 98 I got married, 99 I had Imi. She was due in 2000, my daughter, 26th of January 2000, and she came 10 weeks early on the 23rd of November 1999, and that was one of the biggest wake-up calls I've ever had. 10 weeks early, folks, is not fun when you have a baby. She was 3 pounds 1 ounce. She's going to be 16 next month and is absolutely huge and, you know, kind of full of it. And she says now, well, it was dark in there, I was bored, so I had to come out. So that is Imi all over. And she basically gave me a huge, massive wake-up call. You know, when you're in special care for 9 weeks, it's quite chilling, really. And I just thought I've got to do everything I can to help this baby survive, because she very nearly died twice. And it's when they're putting, you know, milk in their stomachs, and, you know, they have to ventilate them and everything. And I was started to see this alternative healing lady. I was already quite into holistics. I was already a Reiki master, which is like alternative healing and stuff like that. And I was really interested in spirituality and, you know, healing and like kind of what am I doing here kind of questions. And I was seeing a lady that was a kinesiologist, which is when they do muscle testing for allergies and whatnot. And she helped me through that 6 months, that first 6 months of his life. And I managed to breastfeed for that whole time, which is totally unheard of in special care. I mean, you dry up in 3 days in special care. And the nurses were like, what are you doing? And I was just really interested in the whole mind, body, spirit thing and connection and, you know, getting above the whole thinking about things outside of the box, really, because it isn't the normal conventional thing to do that. So I really got into health in a major way, and I left my research job and I was stuck up in Buckinghamshire, knowing nobody, where I live just outside Milton Keynes in a place called Olney. My husband's a lawyer, solicitor. He went back to work within hours of me being born. He didn't take any time off. And I was left on my own. I just knew nobody. So I really got into health, and I basically set up my own research agency straight away, and got a nanny, basically, because I wasn't going to sit around and not know anyone. I was going to get on with my life again and get back to working. So I had my own research agency, which did really well, and basically was paying for this nanny fine. And she stayed with me for 2 years, and then she had to leave because her boyfriend got a big job in Canada. And then I was left with like, oh dear. So I got through all kinds of nannies because they weren't as good as this girl. And this girl, by the way, Rachel, was a diabetic and had to inject herself 4 times a day. She had really bad situation with the insulin. And when I was doing these, and I started to do all these sort of holistic treatments and started to learn about de-stressing and kinesiology and all kinds of things like that. And her insulin levels halved when I was doing these things from her. I was just really intrigued because I was like, I'm really onto something here. This is fantastic. And I got really into spirituality and even more and healing. And I really enjoyed it because I was seeing such great feedback with people. And I started to sort of treat my family and friends. And I went on all kinds of courses. And then I set myself up as a health coach, basically, and all in the alternative vein. So, you know, kind of crystals and healing and therapies and stuff like that. And I've got a treatment room at home. And then we had our son 5 years later, and he's now 10. There's a 5-year gap between the two of them, and he still came really early. So I was like, oh, well, obviously do early babies. And then Imi started to go, we needed to send her to private school because she's just too bright for like the local school. And so we started to send her to private school, and then James had to go as well, and was just starting to need a lot more money. I mean, I was doing my treatments and everything, but it just got to the point where I was thinking I need to go back to London again and do my job. And it's one of those things, you know, where you kind of think I was actually asking the universe for something else. I really didn't want to go back to working in market research because it nearly killed me and my daughter earlier on. And also I was doing lots of really disgusting projects like, you know, microwavable products for teenagers with lots of, you know, microwavable pizza products. It was just really unhealthy. And I got so into what I was doing, I couldn't work with Bacardi. It was so many companies I couldn't work for because I was starting to get really into health, you know. It was just, this is going to make somebody ill if I work. And I just had these huge ethical kind of questions about everything because, you know, the companies that can afford to advertise are generally the ones that are really bad for you. So, and the ones that are good for you can't afford it. So those were the ones I wanted to work for. So without realizing it, I was really asking for something else to do. And I was going to local networking around where I live, women's networking. And I bump into Fiona McCarthy in a car park on the way to this networking meeting. And she starts to talk to me about chemical-free products and everything. And I've been looking for chemical-free products for 2 or 3 years that actually worked, because I was using all kinds of different ones that were natural, but I didn't find that they worked really. And I tried these products and they just were fantastic. I felt really, so this was like, this is it. And I started to like do all my spiritual stuff on it and like ask questions saying, is this what I've been waiting for? Is this actually it? You know, something else that I can do alongside being a health coach without compromising who I am, and, you know, help the world become a better place, basically. And my mission is world health. You know, I want everyone to be healthy and understand that they can all be in control of their health. And it isn't something that just happens to you. You know, you have control over your life. And it's just been the most incredible ride joining Arbor. I jumped in straight away. I didn't go to a presentation. I didn't meet anyone else. I just met Fiona, basically. And I, you know, did a big business order. I just told my husband before I went to meet her, I'm like, I think I'm going to do this business, this Arbonne thing. And he's like, okay. I said, well, I'm probably going to have to spend about $1,000. He was like, okay. He said, make sure it works. I was like, yeah, it will. I promise you it will. And that's all he's ever said to me. I mean, I'm so lucky and so blessed because he is so, you know, supportive. I mean, whilst I've been between calls, he's like been cleaning up the kitchen and whatnot. I mean, really, really, really lucky there. And that's what you realize when you go and do something like Arbonne is sort of where everyone else is at and how much we all need it for whatever direction we're in. So really, I'm doing it because it is the best thing out there. And every single person I meet when I go networking, you look at them, they're all small, medium-sized businesses that basically are really struggling. You know, and everybody needs network marketing of some sort because nobody's making enough money. Nobody is. They're all struggling to do everything themselves. If they're a one-man band, you know, they're struggling to do the accounts, be the product, market it, get the sales in, and then do the business, you know. So it's a really tough ask. So nobody's making enough money if they've got their own business. No one's enjoying life in corporate because I've already done that. And when you're slogging yourself for someone else, that's really no good at all, you know, to the point of being dangerous. And also, you know, you could possibly be made redundant. The thing that I love about this is that you'll never ever be made redundant, and it's down to you and what work you do. So you have all the choices. And again, before I started to do Arbonne, I got really into triathlon. So I was really, really into sport anyway. And what I love about triathlon is that if you've done the training, you know, you can really enjoy it. It's really fun, you know. And if you haven't done the training, you die. It's as simple as that. So, you know, it is literally down to you. And that's what I really like, again, about Arbonne is that if you do the work and you do the listening and the reading and everything else, and you start to radiate and become that kind of magnet, if you like, then you will attract the right people. And it's really living out the sort of spiritual stuff that I was reading in books for a long time before I started to do Arbonne. And it does actually become true. So I love the way, you know, you can practice, you get real life feedback on how well you're doing on all of that very quickly with Arbonne. And if you stuff up on a one-to-one, you know for a while pretty quickly. If they start saying things like, oh, I could never get that excited about skincare, or, you know, whatever they say, you realize that you haven't actually done it right. And that's fine as far as I'm concerned, because, you know, it's learning, it's feedback. You know, that happened to me 2 or 3 times, that, you know, you learn it, you can't help but be enthusiastic. And as Fiona says, you know, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So you just have to keep going. It's as simple as that. So yeah, I've been doing it now nearly 3 years and gearing up to region. And I absolutely love working with these mums that want to go places and want to do stuff, want to change the world. It's so empowering. You know, I used to do tons of research with, you know, really depressed mums that could think of nothing to do outside of, like, you know, just talking about what their kids are doing and comparing them, and, you know, that whole baby Derby thing, or mine's been doing, you know, 10 steps today or whatever. I just found that the most depressing thing ever. I was just not interested in what other people's babies are doing. And so many people live their life through their kids, don't they? I mean, you know, they give up on their own lives. You know, I know so many mums that don't have a life. They just live everything through their own kids. you know, like run them around to swimming or, you know, whatever it is. And I just feel that's desperately, desperately sad that they reached that point. I didn't have a life before Arbonne was all about the kids from Danny, not Zoe. Yeah, exactly. And I think that is the big point, is this is a chance to have something else, but yet you can do it alongside the kids. You know, they don't get left out in any way. They're part of it and they see you. And, you know, like I saw that clip of them reciting they're going to be National Vice President, Danny, you're two. You know, they pick up on everything by osmosis. You know, my 10-year-old does get sick of me like prospecting people in restaurants. He's like, God, are you going to start talking about Arbonne again? And I'm like, yeah, I am, because this person might need to know about it. And if they want to hear more about it, then I have to tell them. I'm like, do you want a white Mercedes and, you know, swimming pool and tennis court and whatever else you want? And it goes, yeah. I'm like, yeah, well, you're going to have to get on with it then. So, and I think nowadays, you know, women are much more, I know I said that when I was driving that car, unbelievable. I think the boys need to see their mums. You know, they've done studies that when mums are happy, the kids are happier. You know, and that's what my mum has studied. You know, she's helped mums become teachers. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Candy. And I remember really clearly going to a baby group and they spent an hour talking about safety gates and fire guards. And I came home to my husband and I'm like, I don't think I'm ever going to laugh again. I really, really can't do that kind of discussion. I just can't do it. And I just thought, I don't like any of these women. I don't want to be with any of them. I cannot stand it. They all thought I was a real snob. I mean, I didn't care what they thought. I mean, I just could not stand it. I'm like, look, I don't do lunch. I do working. You know, I mean, that's what I do. I don't sit around talking about shit like that. You know, it's just dreadful. So yeah, and now I see them and they're perfectly fine. They sort of got through that whole baby thing. I'm like, hi, how are you? And they go, great. How are you? And I'm like, fine. Wasn't that terrible? They go, yes. You know, that whole baby thing. Yeah, it's not me. So yeah. So the whole, yeah, I don't know. Does anybody want to ask me some questions? I don't know. I've talked about it already. What do you want to know? Exactly, Candy. Exactly. Obviously gave them 10 minutes to blab. I don't know what you're talking about,
Nicky, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please do. I don't know what else to say. I don't really like about myself very much.
That was fantastic. It's so funny as well. I think you're hilarious anyway, and it was so nice to get to know you more on the cruise. That anyone that hasn't spent enough time with you needs to. But my question is, when you were a district manager, Nicky, I don't know how long you were a district manager before you were an area manager. But what did you do differently from being a district manager to then becoming an area manager?
Okay. Well, I was a district for about a year. And I went on a Sue Alexander makeup product. I did a product course very early on in like kind of the November, and there were like 20 people. There was like kind of 10 people in the room. Now they are massive.
Sunday, by the way.
I know. And I went to a makeup one, specifically makeup. And I bought the makeup kit, and that virtually put me into qual for area. And I had like 1 or 2 districts under me with me at that point. And I suddenly looked at my numbers and I was like, oh my God, I could go for area now. I could go for area qual. So I had a fantastic chat with Fiona, who gave me all kinds of ideas to, you know, just build my QV up for that month. And I got into area qual sort of just almost by accident. I just suddenly realized that I could do it. And I so got in, because I was really just into the skincare. I wasn't even into the nutrition at all. It's like kind of a whole new world was sort of the makeup area. And I was having a lot of fun, like having people round and doing makeovers on them. And it was the instant kind of fix of makeup and like changing you that I really liked. And it was such a confidence thing. And I mean, I never thought of myself as being able to do something like that. And it was such a great course that she did, and really took you through it, you know, and had lots of practice with people, that it just gave me a new set of skills and a new string to my bow. And I was just off, basically. And it was when all the Christmas stuff was out as well, because I went area in the November, and I did it in the October-November in 2 months. And I just literally, because, you know, Fiona's thing is stake in the ground. There was a whole thing with Ellen MacArthur, you know, that girl that sailed across, she'd done the Atlantic on her own, that girl that sailed on her own. Well, I imagine myself like Ellen. I was like Ellen MacArthur, not Fiona McCarthy. And I was like literally strapped to this mast, like holding on, because it was quite rocky with various people mucking me around. And I was like, I am so going area. It's not even. I virtually did it on my own in a way. I had like 2 districts that weren't really doing anything, and I just did it on my own, really, a bit like Fiona did it. But I had like Christmas staff, and you know, it's one of those things where you look back and you can't really remember how you did it, to be perfectly honest. And it was really quite something to do it. It was like real bust your gut time. And I remember saying to Rob, like a couple of days before, you know, I may need to buy a bit more product to like do this because I'm not letting it go. He's like, okay, go for it. I didn't have to buy much. I said, look, what do all your lot need for Christmas? At his work. And I was like, what if they need? I'm just going to get them whatever. I'm going to do it 35% off. You know, I'll go and do makeup workshops. I'll just do whatever. You know, that is the point. When it gets to like that close, you're just like, I'll just do whatever it takes. Just whatever it takes. So, and then, yeah, basically I had to lie down with a cold fan on my head for December. And then I had some, and then I got into the nutrition into the January and the February, and that was really, really good as well. So I did it without even really knowing about nutrition at all. Because every year I do like a swimathon for this friend of mine who's had breast cancer, and we do it for a cancer charity in the March. So I start training in the January, and I started to take the shakes. I didn't like the shakes. I was just like, what is this, baby food? You know, space food, what is this? And I really, really got into the shakes, and I found them really, really, really helped, like with the training. I got much further, felt much stronger and fitter, and just got, you know, just really good, really fantastic. So that was great for January. Thanks, Danny. And then, so yeah, but I have had a couple of rocky times being area, because, you know, districts drop away, and, you know, you're like, oh my God. And, you know, Fiona's amazing. Paul, I'm like, what do I do? And she's like really fantastic, giving you some ideas. And there are some times where I just had to decide that I wasn't going to lose it. And so I never have. And so, you know, and that's the whole thing with it. You've got to stay up all the time. That's what I think I really admire you, Danny, is that you've just kept in such great momentum. And it's don't stop, you know, don't sit back on your laurels. You've got to keep going, whatever happens. And now I've got a team of like 6 district managers, and, you know, building basically, building strong as I can, and keeping solid and keeping focus, and lots of reading, lots of listening. Everywhere you go, you've got a CD on. And you're on every call, you know, and go to all the training, because you always pick something up that's really useful, and it's just in you after a while. And there's just no doubt about it that, you know, this is really worth doing. It really is. It's a really, really good company. The ethics are really sound, great characters and great personalities. And, you know, like we saw on you know, on the cruise, you know, there's some great people, and they're just all beautiful and gorgeous, and such lovely, genuine people. I mean, I'm actually wearing a necklace today that of a lady who just gave me this necklace when I was on the cruise. I said, I really like your necklace. It was this gorgeous lady called Rosie. And she just went like this. She said, have it. I don't care. You know, and it was just those are the people that you meet from Arbonne. And it's like, I was like, you're joking? And she said, no. She said, they're cheap as chips. I'm like, no, they're not. So, yeah, Rosie, absolutely beautiful girl.
Can I just say something as well about how proud I am of Nicky? Because I think what we do is we go for a goal, and this is what you should do, okay? You go for that goal, and to achieve that goal, and once you've achieved that goal, then you set the next goal, okay? So with Nicky, she's really held area for a long time on her own and had to rebuild. Okay, so what I want to point out is, even when you get to district, get to area, get to region, get to nation, it doesn't necessarily mean that once you've arrived, you take your foot off the gas. You never, ever stop building your team and building yourself. It's a journey, you know. And I know that there was a time, and relating back to Nicky, we said about your dad being a fighter pilot in the RAF, and his motto was, this is not a dress rehearsal. And there was one time where it was really a close call for Nicky, and she just said to me, what do you, and I was like, you know what, the doors are shut. You're not going to lose it. And she pulled it out the bag that month. Do you remember, Nicky? It was such a close call. And she was literally holding that area on her own for a short while, because she was on her own. So what I'm trying to say is that when it comes back to your intention and your focus, when you make that decision, then it has to happen for you. You know, even when, or you know, we talk about Jim Rohn and the wind, and it's not the blowing of the wind, it's the set of your sails. Even when Nikki got to area, and now you're thinking she's got a stable business. She had some districts, but they fell by the wayside, and she just kept rebuilding and just focusing and having that vision for her future. So I'm so proud of you, Nikki, because there's been, and there will be with all of you. I want to make you all aware of that. You know, there are some rocky moments, but you hold on to that mast, and and you just keep going forward. I didn't see that comment. I don't know how to write on the screen. What did I say?
I know. I think it's really interesting when we look at our parents' backgrounds, because I think there is a lot of synergy. You know, how many were teachers? How many were, you know, and it is about taking risks. I mean, you know, Candy, I mean, for our dads, the most exciting thing was flying a jet airplane. And I think the most exciting thing for us to do is to do this business. I mean, you know, it is risk taking. And you've got to stay flying high, because you can't come down, you know, you just can't come down, you know. Once you're up there, you can't, you have to keep going. So it's really similar to that. It's fascinating. I'm sure your dad will be really proud of you. My dad's very odd about some of the things I do. My parents don't support me at all. I mean, you know, that's the other thing, you know, they don't support me at all. My mum, my dad, and my sister. So it's quite interesting. I was thinking, as and when a car presentation happens, who would I invite? And I don't think I'm going to invite any of my parents and that lot, because they just haven't, they've done absolutely nothing to help me, apart from saying, oh, great, you want your yet? Like that. Thanks, guys. So I'm doing it to despite them, really. I'll just show up in my car one time when we have a family do, and they'll go, oh, you got it. I'm like, yeah. Fine. I don't need it. You know, you don't need affirmation from them, really, do you? You just need to hang out with these crazy girls, these crazy guys on this call. That's the best thing. Because that's what happens, again, I think, in the RAF and in the forces. You get like this family bond, don't you? You get like a team bond, and it's like, that's all you need. You don't need anything else outside of that.
Did anyone else have any questions?
He would be.
Nikki?
Yeah. Please do. Go on. Okay, anybody else? I hope that was helpful.
It was really helpful. I thought it was brilliant. And have you got any tips from going from area now to region?
Gosh, I think the most important thing is, I mean, I think Fiona is phenomenal, and she's been such an incredible support. Really, the big I have it right here, is this book. It's my right-hand man right now, frankly. I listen and I'm reading, and it's because it's like, you know, you have to stay so strong all the time, and you know, be yourself so much, you know, just be yourself. And you know, I love my team, and there's just such lovely things happening. It's just, I'm in awe of like how they're meeting on their own, and they're having meetings on their own, and you know, we're just all mums in this together, and it's just this huge privilege, to be perfectly honest. It's really, I feel really lucky, to be honest. But also, you're thinking very much of your own sort of issues as well. So it's quite an interesting time, you know. I mean, like when I was a manager in a different way, in my director sort of situation, you're sort of worried what everyone's doing all the time, because you need to check the quality control of their work. Whereas with this, it's like you just need to stay in touch with everybody and check they're okay. But you can see that because of the freedom, and you can do it your own way. I think it's really fantastic, because we learn from each other so much, you know. So I'm learning from everybody, everywhere, from every direction. And I think that's been the most amazing thing of all, is that, you know, you're not expected to know everything. And you can still be yourself, and you're not responsible, but obviously there to be 100% supportive and help anybody in any way you can. But also be receptive and humble, really, that everybody is in the same boat. You know, we're all doing this together. We really, really are. And us all going to nation will be the most phenomenal achievement. You know, I think that's what's so fantastic about these Zoom calls, that we can have these connections in the way that we have. You know, this is only just very recently, in the last few weeks, that we've been able to we've done it, we embrace this type of technology. And I think it's been huge at fueling momentum and keeping everybody, you know, really fired up. And all the Facebook groups as well have been really amazing. So yeah, I think, you know, everyone's learning all the time. So, you know, all share all the time is a completely different culture to anything I've ever been in, where it's all a bit like, oh, I'm above you and you're there and I'm here, and you know, all that. It's nothing like that at all. Which I really, really like. I'm still an independent consultant. I mean, that's all I am, you know, that's all I see it. And you know, we're all in this together. It's as simple as that.
Brilliant. That was great. Fiona, did you want to wrap it up with Nicky being in your To Be Nation?
I know. I'm just so proud of you, Nicky. Just we have one thing as well. I want everyone to remember: take what you do seriously, but don't take yourself seriously. Because, guys, we have got, you know, this isn't work. Really? Come on, we're having the best time of our lives, you know. And I think the biggest thing is to keep it fun, to keep it upbeat, to show people the potential and what we can all achieve. You know, just going on the cruise, you know, with Nicky and Alison and Ian and you know, Zoe and now I'm reading your name, it's not as Danny, you know, and John and Peter and everybody. The fun we have is what you then bleed into your life, your business, you know, the person that you are. And because, yeah, if it was sleazy, it'd be easy. We get white Mercedes, but, you know, we get white bike, but we get white Mercedes, okay? So it is hard, but it's not, yeah? It is worth it. And I'm just so proud of you, Nicky Marchant, Regional Vice President in Qual, because you so deserve this. I know how much you've grafted. I know how much everybody grafts to get to district, you know, to get to area, to get to region, to get to nation. You know, and you will all get there. You know, I said this last night. The only reason I stood up in Nation Qual is because I just didn't quit. And I was so rubbish, it wasn't even funny at the beginning, right? So super proud of you, Nicky. You are an amazing leader. You make me so proud of yourself for what you I know you've slugged your guts out and you deserve this, and it's coming your way, my love. It's already written in the stars, so I can't wait to celebrate your car presentation.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah, and for everybody else as well, you know, everybody else on this call, we're all going the same direction, you know, that's it. It's a huge, you know, it's just like the waves onto the beach. Everybody is going to be getting the same thing. People can't believe we get a car, you know, they're like, really? You know, like this. And also like the holiday thing, the incentive trips are just unbelievable. I'd do that without anything else. I'd do the incentive trips. They're incredible. Absolutely incredible. Just do that. Do it for that. You know, nobody in corporate has as much fun as we have. It's as simple as that. Nobody does. Nobody. You show me somebody else's life. Nobody has what we have. Nobody. Why not? This is not a rehearsal. Do it.
True. Right. Thank you so much, Nicky. Thank you for taking time to talk to everybody that's going for area as well. Thank you, everyone, for being on this call, and I'll see you all next week.
Well done, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Bye. Bye.